What up, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their week. Thanksgiving is on its way, and as a person who was born on Thanksgiving and who this year will be celebrating his girlfriend's birthday on that day, I'm very much looking forward to Thanksgiving. Kind of miffed that there's not more discussion about Thanksgiving. There's not more commercials. It's seemingly as soon as you get to Halloween, even a little bit before that, they're already talking about Christmas. And I understand, I'm a big fan of Christmas, as I am a big fan of most, if not all, the holidays. But again, given that I was born on Thanksgiving and my birthday's coming up, Thanksgiving is a very special time of the year for me. Very much looking forward to celebrating it with my girlfriend, and some of the festivities that we will be taking part in. So yeah, now before I get into the video, which I have multiple guests this week, but all in one shot, so very much looking forward to having you guys watch it. I'll talk about that in a second, but before that, let's talk about December 13th. Now, December 13th, Reality Wrestling will be presenting its Christmas Chaos number 9. Now, I was on Christmas Chaos number 1. I actually faced Umaga, may he rest in peace, at the very first Christmas Chaos, which was not for Reality Wrestling, but it was for PWA, which was Booker T's promotion at the time, until he rebranded to the Reality Wrestling. Doesn't change the fact that Christmas Chaos is a big event for all of us within Reality Wrestling, and for all of us who were there for the very first one. I know it's a big event for Booker and Sharmell, and again, everyone within Reality Wrestling. So go to realitywrestling.com to get details. They've already started to throw out hints as to what special guests we'll have at the show. It should be a phenomenal show. I'm very much looking forward to being a part of it behind the scenes. But, again, go to realitywrestling.com. I know they're trying to get Soul of the South in everyone's city. So, I think if you go to Soul of the South, you can find out about potential. But if you live in an area and you get to watch Reality Wrestling on YouTube, or you go to the website or any of that, but you would like to see it air or Soul of the South brought to your city, go to your cable provider and demand Soul of the South in your area, and you'll be able to see Reality Wrestling at your home. Now, on to this week's guest plural. I have had the opportunity to appear on this group's show a couple of times. They've gone through a couple of name changes. At one point, they were the TASW Heel Fans. They had a podcast. I was one of the guys that really enjoyed cheering on or heckling or whatever they did. I always enjoyed what they brought to the show. So I was happy to be on the podcast. And then I was on, when they changed their name, I think I was on Renegade Wrestling Radio, at least one of the early ones. I'm not really sure of which one, but go ahead, go check out Renegade Wrestling Radio. So I had Jaime, Matt Classic, and Jimmy Nova, fellow brother in the wrestling business, on my show, and we got to talk about podcasts, what brought about their podcast, kind of the inception of it, and the inspiration behind it. We talked about current wrestling, current product, talked about their thoughts on the streak, their thoughts on Brock Lesnar as a whole, the product as a whole, what they like, what they don't like. It was a very fun conversation. I really appreciate those guys having me on their show and having them be on my show. So, a real fun conversation. Hopefully, everyone enjoys it. Now, after this week, I'm not really sure what I'll have more guests. I'm going to try to, over my vacation time, I'm going to try to reach out to some people, maybe bring back some guys that I had on the show at one point, especially those that are within, that are part of Reality Wrestling, in part because, they've got Christmas Chaos coming up. But more importantly, I'd like to check in on some of them. I know that, there are a few of them that I've had on the show before that would like to be on the show now. But I'm going to try to schedule out. Scheduling's always there's a lot of conflict. So I'm going to hopefully have some people, and I'll be updating everyone on my Facebook page, or pages at some point. But I do know that my next video will be a conversation with all of you. Like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, my birthday is next week. So that's as good a time as any to kind of reflect, talk about my feelings, talk about my thoughts, talk about my potential future in and around the wrestling business. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, but that's next week. This week is my sit-down conversation with the guys that bring to you Renegade Wrestling Radio. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my sit-down conversation with Jaime, Matt Classic, and Jimmy Nova, the guys who bring to you Renegade Wrestling Radio. Until the next time, later! This interview might lead you guys to drinking. Renegade Wrestling Radio, these guys. Was that on y'all's show? Like second or third or fourth? I was on one of y'all's. I just can't remember when. I know like me and Bob were on one of the shows.
Yeah, that was the TASW days.
Okay, so I always try to start it with your earliest memory of wrestling. More importantly, like kind of what got you, what hooked you.
Oh, okay.
So y'all can go around the room.
Okay, so I'll go. I guess I'll go first, and then we'll go around.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, as far as my fondest memory, is my dad used to take me to wrestling all the time, the Coliseum.
Okay.
But we used to live in Denton, so I got exposed to the Sportatorium over there with Juan Eriks, and I remember all that. He took me as an infant, and then when I got like 3 or 4 years old, we moved to Houston, and he started taking me to Paul Bosch's stuff. So I remember I got spoiled and then I kind of like, Channel 39 was like our like only wrestling. So we got Paul Bosch and then the WWF stuff. Okay. So that's pretty much it. And as far as my favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan. Okay. As a kid. Okay. But growing, my taste changed a little bit.
See, I love it when guys go, man, I used to be such a Hulk Hogan fan. I'm like, man, I'm still a Hulk Hogan fan.
Oh no, I still love the Hulk.
I don't, my time in it, I was a Warrior fan. I'm still a Warrior fan. Sting, I'm still a Sting fan. But okay, what was your first, what hooked you into it?
Myself, it's probably going to be the same as his. Grandpa, growing up, we lived in Northeast Texas. I remember every Saturday night, every Sunday night, Grandpa, everybody stops what they're doing, Grandpa has to go watch wrestling. Yeah. And so, and with him, he was more into the NWA, early WCW stuff. Okay.
Right around the transition.
Yeah, the Von Erichs, of course, because we're in Northeast Texas. Yeah. All that, so I got put through the, growing up, I loved the, the Horsemen, the Freebirds. Yeah. And then I got hooked a little bit later, the Road Warriors. Yeah. So, for me, it's all about the Grandpa. Grandpa, setting us down, it's time to watch wrestling. Yeah.
And Jimmy.
Well, it's pretty much the same thing, pretty much living with him. Had the grandpa there, we'd always sit down and watch wrestling and stuff, but one of my favorites was Rey Mysterio growing up. Okay. I was like, yeah, he was pretty good, but also Hulk Hogan. Yeah. That little kid, watching Hulk Hogan, you're like, wow. Yeah. But that's pretty much what got me in it, but I was like, dang, I wanted to be a high flyer, but you can see me, I'm not a high flyer.
So, I know you guys from TASW. Yeah. You've had a couple of matches here and there. But really what kind of got you guys doing podcasting was the TASW heel fan stuff. It was you and Thomas mainly at first?
We basically... We started off, we went to an NWA Houston event, that Invasion event, and we were like, that was the first time we ever met. We met through the internet. Oh, okay. Yeah, and he was like, hey man, let's all sit together and let's get rowdy. I was like, sure, why not? So that's the first time I ever met him, and we're like talking in the car, drinking beer before the event, and we're like, man, let's start a podcast. Okay. So that's basically it was it, and about a couple of weeks later, we got a Guitar Hero mic, a computer, and we did it like the first one, like that. Wow. And then we just started I started doing more research, and we upgraded the stuff, and that was pretty much
So at the same time, you guys were doing, Thomas mainly was a kind of a meme generator to some respect, right?
Yeah.
Like he, and I try to tell guys, like, if you don't want it seen, don't post it. Like, don't have someone tag you in something if it's, because then no one's to blame but yourself if if like Ransom is wearing a tutu or something like that. It's not like, it was there. So, and y'all did a few episodes. How many episodes did y'all do as the Hill Fans?
We did like 19, 20 episodes? Mm-hmm. And plus we did some like shoot interviews. We did the Negro Butcher shoot interview. And we did like another 21 and up where we just like pretty much just shit on everything, what we hated and what we didn't like about certain people. So that was pretty much it. So that's how many episodes we did. And now as far as Renegades, we've done 20, 21.
So what was the reason for the change from it being a Heel Fans podcast to Renegade Wrestling? What was the purpose to change the name?
The thing is like, as far as the TASW, Heel Fans, we didn't want to be stuck in a box.
Yeah.
That's the whole main thing. I was trying to explain it to like Thomas before we had the little breakup, and everybody was all aboard for the name change, but I guess he wanted to stay loyal to TASW, but we were like, we don't want to be just stuck with the TASW. We want to talk about whatever we want to talk about. If we want to talk about like all the indies and just not just WWE or TASW, we do want to give TASW their props, but we also wanted to give, all the local promotions around here.
Wrestling,
WA. We want to treat our local stars like they're the stars. Because that's the ones we watch. I watch WWE, but I love my indie wrestling. That's I stay true to that. So that's what we started on, and I'm not gonna stop watching it. So that's pretty much it. But as far as we just wanted to grow as a podcast, and we couldn't be just stuck in that box. So that's where we're like, let's do it. Renegade Wrestling Radio. He came up with the name.
Nice. And then Thomas stayed on board for a little bit, and then, or was it as soon as y'all made the change?
Pretty much as soon as we made
actually, like, he hadn't been on the show for maybe a month before the change happened, because he was having like a family situation and stuff. So it was us already doing it by ourselves, and then some issues coming up with like you said, he used to the whole meme situation.
I know he posted one, and I know I think at that point, Booker and a lot of guys within Booker's promotion, it wasn't so much, I think what it was kind of one of many factors, but it was kind of one of those things too where we did have to talk to talent, like, man, don't post anything that's going to paint you in a negative light, only because why would you do it, especially if you're trying to, if you in essence represent the promotion. So I know that's where a lot of it came from, because that wasn't, I think Thomas's stuff wasn't the only, we kind of put the kibosh on a lot of stuff, because again, we were like, well, we're trying to build this brand, we're trying to kind of change the mindset of how people view just wrestling in general on the indie level. Book's really adamant about saying we're not an indie company. Specifically how we do shows and all that. But I know a lot of it was, I just don't want guys to be seen in negative light. And I knew there was, I'm sure there was that conversation. And
there was a lot of things that happened in between that. Because
I knew that it seemingly that, from an outsider looking in, it was like, Thomas is part of this group, you guys had started doing this podcast.
Like one of those memes and stuff that was on Tony Brooklyn, and we were trying to get him onto the show, but I guess he seen the meme and like, man, we're part
But at the same time, like, I always joked with Thomas, I think the couple of times that he'd have me on his show, or on the show at one point here or there, was that I never got grief from anybody. Like, the Heel Fans never really gave me grief where they would give everyone else grief. And I'm like, well, you just can't really joke about me, because I I'm not going to sell it. Like, if you guys start a chant, I'm going to laugh it off just as much as you guys are. And anything that you post, it's obviously out there. I think sometimes personalities within the business have too thin of skin.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think if you joked about Terry Funk or posted a meme about Terry Funk and it was something making fun or popping at him, I think you'd probably laugh at it because it's like, dude, I'm Terry Funk. Like, I don't what does it matter? But who comes out? How did y'all come up with the format of y'all's show? Because I've listened to a couple of episodes and seemingly you have kind of like the 15-20 minute interviews. I remember the last one I really listened to because we were due to scheduling. We at one point were like, oh, we'll do this show. It was the one right after the CWF Mesquite show, and you guys had Max Muscle. And I love Max. Like I listened to his stuff with y'all, and I went, hey Max, if you're ever in Houston, like hit me up because I'd like to have you on my show, and we'll get into how my show's a little different. And then you had Ken Johnson, and and I've heard guys have gotten paid since. Some guys,
some have, some haven't.
I think the only people that got paid were the ones that were bitching the most.
Well, because they knew they needed to shut them up. I think if they could have gotten away with not paying. Now, I'll say this, like, when I heard about it, I had already had a bad taste in my mouth about CWF because of the Coastalmania show. I heard, so I didn't hear one positive thing. Like, you never want to hear about a promotion and hear about there was not one positive mention of that show. There wasn't one positive like, oh, well, the Von Erich boys were here. No, there was nothing really positive. I will say this, Derek always paid me. Paid me for cutting promos. Paid, when I was injured and I came and I had to actually be stripped of the belt, he still paid me. Paid me what he told me I was going to get paid. With that said, I've been on the flip side, like with when I ran Uncut, it was a free show, but the talent all knew that. I would tell them, hey, don't do anything that I wouldn't. Don't go out there and kill yourselves. It's all about getting your character over. But the incentive is, if you do really well on the show, I'll put in a word for you on our Full Throttle Saturday TV tapings, and you'll get a payday as well as probably something else. That's the least I can do. With IWE, we had a guarantee early on, and then we lost it, but it was the same thing. Like, I sat down with all the talent and was like, look, we're going to work for the door. And I'd get a lot of guys who would want to come work for the company, and I would have to tell them no because I couldn't guarantee them a payday. And I'd get some that were like, man, I don't care. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be that guy. Because on the flip side, you will pay me my money. I hate that. Like, if I was one of those guys in Mesquite, I would have probably punched Derek. And it wouldn't matter what security you had. I would have been like, "No, me and Derek, we're gonna handle this. I'm not driving from Houston to Mesquite to not get paid."
I'd have probably let you.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, same thing with Coastalmania. I think if a company does it once, where they don't pay you and they tell you that they're going to pay you. It's one thing if they're like, well, I can't guarantee you anything, then you just enter kind of at your own risk. But if they promise you money, man, there's nothing worse than that, and there's nothing worse than having a guy who at the end of the night wants to guilt you into taking less, or the promise, or I'd say one of my closest friends, who I was doing show running for, every show it would be, and you would know, he lost it. He lost his ass because there was not a crowd. 60 people's not. And then you want to pack this card with talent and you want to pay them accordingly. And at the end of the night, he wouldn't have money and he would just kind of look at you like, man, it was kind of light. And I'm going, well, that's not my fault. I mean, I advertised your show. I probably cut a YouTube video about it. I told my friends about it. I don't know. Whereas on the flip side, like Bob, who, man, I've worked charity shows where guys know when it's a charity show, ultimately you're probably not going to get paid. And Bob's like, here you go. I've been there, and I've been like, wow, all right. I've been the same way. Been like, oh wow, 50, 60 people. How are we gonna nothing. I'm like, here you go, thanks. No, like, but on the flip side, I go, well, those guys that work Coastal Mania and they only got paid nothing. Mm-hmm. Why would you be willing to do it again?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at now with wrestling. Like, I took a hiatus in part because I was working Hurricane Pro. I just lost the title. And I had been telling people probably January 2013. I remember having a conversation with Kevin, which got me my reality wrestling job. Was we're watching Royal Rumble. We're sitting on opposite couches. I'm like, man, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And I'm in the midst of the TASW run, which was awesome. Awesome for me because I'd always wanted that title. Because God, that was an awesome title. Yeah. Just from a historical standpoint, I think of the guys who would want it before me, like Necker Butcher, like Hernandez, like Zen Zen, who when my first run with TASW was just getting started, and then like I come back and it's Zen Zen, this guy who, had this mythical like title reign that when I got the title I was like, man, I'm gonna break that I'm gonna all due respect, Zen Zen, if we get to that Humble Rumble and I'm still champ, you might as well come out of retirement and try to take it from me. Same thing with Hurricane Pro. Was in the midst of this historical run, won the CWF belt, like I'm doing all this stuff, and in the midst of it I'm going, man, how much more I got. And it was odd because a year later, I lost all the titles, lost Dark Star, which I was proud to do it. Lost to Robbie in a situation which was weird because I didn't know I was dropping it till after intermission. We're the main intermission. They hadn't told us what was going down. For me, Ryan, and Robbie are like, okay, well, what do you want to do, buddy? I don't know. Finally we get the word, then it's like, okay, well then now we know where we're going. I'm wrestling AJ Rush, and in the midst of it, I'm having this conversation with Robbie, and I'm going, man, I'm having this match with AJ Rush, phenomenal kid. Who's going to see this match once it's over? Who, outside of the people that paid their money, who on YouTube's ever going to see it? Who on Daily Motion's ever going to see it? Who on Facebook's ever going to see it? That weren't there, And it got to the point where that voice of what's the payoff started to come in. And it was like, man, I started to just not have any desire to just deal with it. Like helping build promotions. Like I saw TASW going in once I left, it was kind of, here's the exclusivity thing. And then it went, and I was like, man, I was looking at book going, man, I've been in Bob Eggers' spot where being told guys can't perform for you, well, okay, I'll just reload my roster and I'll figure it out. But I specifically went on hiatus just to kind of say, well, until I can get that out of my brain, there's no sense in me being there. Because then I become that odd guy, that voice of dissension, or why are you in here? Why are you bumping for this? And I can't be that guy because I know that unfortunately, I do realize that if I'm in a locker room and if I am negative, it just spreads faster than like if Haywire is upset about whatever. People don't care, but if me or like Alex Evans are like having a particularly bad day, especially in that locker room, or like in Curtis' locker room, if Jared Wayne's having a bad day, because he's kind of one of, like Alex for TSW. But back to y'all's format of your show. Sorry, I went on that.
Okay, I like hearing stories like that.
Yeah, man. I honestly, because like I get people who some of the talent within ROW will be like, when are you gonna wrestle? I'm like, I like doing what I do. I like being behind the scenes. I like helping come up with matches. I like not having to stress. I like there not being a call for Steve DeMarco to be on the show. Right. And then other shows, it's just like, man, I don't know if I want to go there? I don't go there. Yeah, and there's other promotions I look at. I'm like, but whatever. Back to y'all's format again. So y'all's formats is still are they pretty consistent as far as, talking about kind of like the current events and then going into, or do y'all, because I know you do call-ins as well.
Yeah. I put my number out there, and we get guys from New Jersey, Maryland. Like, we did a Friday show. We had Maryland, New Jersey, and a couple of like the fans from Texas. A couple of metal bands. That they love our show and they help promote their band, and they're like juggalos because juggalos, they love wrestling. So it's pretty much like that. And Matt Classic looks up some stuff. I look up the current events. We get the wrestler's point of view with Jimmy Nova.
Somewhat when I got time to do it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And whatever person I hit up on on Facebook, I try to reach out to them and try to get an interview with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because a couple of weeks ago we had El Latino, the new TASW.
How was that? Interviewing him, I didn't get to hear that one.
It was pretty good.
It was more majority of him. He asked all the questions.
It was good. Because he's an old school guy.
Yeah.
And it was just good. He talked about him growing up, how he learned, his current situation of trying to move out to get booked in the Houston area.
Yeah, because he had been like Austin, San Antonio. Like I shit you not, my very first match, that guy was there. I kind of like one of those things, bring your gear. Yeah. Hadn't wrestled yet. Some guy was gonna wrestle. They just told me to come along. He happened to be there. I wrestled Flamin' Rose, and I proceeded to hit like 4 finishers in a row to try to beat him. Like I had no mind for what psychology was. I'm just trying to go through the moves, and I'm like, well, that didn't get a lot enough pop. Let me hit this move. That didn't do it. Let me hit this one. Like all my moves were pretty much. And I remember Latino actually pulling me aside and kind of asking me questions and trying to see what was going on. He said, "Man, in 2 years you'll get it. It'll just like a light switch." Mm-hmm. And 2 years to the day, it just literally flipped. But I always remember that because he was always such a class act as far as giving guys, just information, telling you and giving you good advice. So anyone know what the future for Dark Star is as far as because it sounded I saw something on Facebook where it sounded like he was saying, I don't know what the future holds. I mean, I remember being in the same exact boat because when I lost it, I was like, man, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
At that point, because I kind of told Bob, well, I might be taking a break once I lose it. I knew back to that 2013 January, in the midst of everything, going, Kevin, I don't know how much longer I got. Him going, well, you always got a home here. What do you want to do? And I was like, oh man, what I'm doing now would be awesome. Let me just, I don't have to be stressed about booking the show. That's great. I don't have to stress about helping promote. Awesome. I can just enjoy teaching. That's cool.
But with Dark Star, it's kind of like since when he got the title from you, he's carried TASW on his back. Mm-hmm. He's been there for every road show, every house show. He's been to all of them. And for a guy, he lives out in Austin, and we're doing a show in BFE, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And he's driving to it. To just carry the company on his back, because there was a while where the whole talent situation, and Bob was having to try out new talent and everything, and he was still the one there carrying the company on.
Yeah, I mean, well, for all intents and purposes, he had to be. I mean, I didn't when I dropped it, I didn't see that happening. Because Books was really at its infancy, so I really assumed they weren't going to get a TV deal right off the bat. They would do internet stuff, and as long as the guys that worked for Book were well handled at whatever promotion, the work would be fine. Yeah. And that's what we all assumed. Then once they got the national deal, it was like, well, and I think there were some injuries, and it'd be just a couple of things, so guys mismanaged in the way that they were handled at other companies, just from hey, we're trying to build a product and whatnot. But yeah, Yeah, having been that guy, and even having conversations with Zinzin when I was in the midst of it, he's like, it sucks being the guy. You just don't realize how much it sucks until certain days pass. He's like, just watch. And I was like, a year in it, and I'm doing at that point, I'm solely doing as much advertising, and I'm not just advertising for them, I'm advertising for every show I'm on, and unfortunately I'm the top guy on every show I'm on. So yeah, I could feel his pain. I mean, I think that's more weighing on you than who you're facing. Because ultimately you become just the figurehead of the company. It doesn't even matter who else is underneath or what they're doing. I mean, I was lucky in a sense that I did have like Ryan and Robbie, and I had, Oz, and I had, there were these guys, and of course like, Alex and Australia Galactica and all those guys, I had a pretty firm group. I mean, we had Brian Keith, I had Gustavo, like I had, my run included having a title champion versus champion where it's me versus Gustavo, and it's like, oh man, and realizing that was close to the end for him, man, and then I think I did say something to Darkstar when I left. I was like, good luck, you'll need it. And I just, I was happy for him that he lost it. Yeah. More importantly, I'm happy that Latino still going. I mean, that's a good guy to have. Yeah. Plus, the roster's going to build because they do have a TV presence now. I think that opens the doors. What's y'all's opinion of the streak being broken? What was your feeling when it happened?
You know what? I was there. I went to WrestleMania that year.
Okay. You see, I watched it on the delay, and I made them. I was waiting for my girl, the network. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to use the network. I don't give a damn, whatever. And unfortunately, our internet was our internet dropped. It wasn't the network. Yeah. It was the internet connection. So I try not to look at Facebook. But I think I made the mistake of looking on Facebook. So I had already kind of heard something, like people were like, no, and I thought, 100 beat Dan O'Brien in 30 seconds. I hadn't seen the event yet. So I wasn't aware of the streak until I watched it, and I went, what? So
I was next to Gilbert from the Cliff City Productions, and we were sitting together, and we looked at each other, and Gilbert he stands up, he's like, yes, and dude, I'll tell you right now, there were grown men walking out, crying, like out of the building because
they didn't care what else happened on the show. They left.
They left. They were like, this is fucking bullshit. That's where they left it. I was like, I honestly, I was like in shock. I didn't think it was gonna end like that.
Yeah.
But it happened. I was like, whoa. And then you pretty much silenced, how many people were there? Like 60, 70,000 people?
Yeah.
And they were all silenced. It was like a pin drop could have it was that. Yeah. And it was shocking. Everybody was just like in awe. And they were like, for a moment they were like, what the fuck? They were like, and then like everybody were looking at, I was looking at people next to us and the other were like, what the hell just happened? And why did it end like this? We were expecting it to end it a different way, but the way it ended, it was kind of like, oh man, it was a shocker. But finally, just like throughout the show, it got a little bit better, but I felt sorry for the DJ. I felt leading up to that, but it was just shocking though. I was shocked.
I was shocked at doing with Brock doing it. Mm-hmm. I thought if it would have been someone do it, I thought maybe a year or two later, like some up-and-comer that's going to be the next golden boy.
I always thought it was going to be Punk to do it. I swear I thought Punk was going to do it, but he didn't. I thought, no, he didn't do it. But it was Brock. They gave it to Brock. But out of all people, why Brock? Well, go ahead. With your shock, amazement, why wasn't I the guy?
I'm pretty much still in shock because of it. But, I was kind of thinking that it was going to be his last year running with the WWE, kind of have that big retirement match and stuff at WrestleMania, but it went on ahead with Brock, and it kind of don't make sense, but That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like thinking like him, it should have been kind of like a new up-and-comer that's going to be like one of the bigger guys on the roster. But shit happens.
Yeah.
That's the big company for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, when it was Punk and Taker, I thought, okay, if they're going to give it to somebody, Punk, I mean, year-long reign, look what he did. I mean, he kind of did the favors for Rock. He's been a good champion. You guys hadn't really given him that you're the guy stamp, even though you have the title for as long as you have it. That should be you're the guy stamp. He really wasn't still the guy, because we all know John is the guy.
Yeah.
At least now they've kind of changed that thought process, which will. But I saw Brock as, and that build-up was one of those. It's a foregone conclusion. Taker's going to walk out.
Yeah.
It's going to be 22-0. Like, cool. That's fine. Another day at the office.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about it to this day. I don't think people would. You wouldn't remember that match. Yeah. I think everyone remembers the match because of what it wasn't. You saw basically like the Bane Batman fight, the first one where he just leaves Batman crippled, and you saw when's the Taker gonna get up and you didn't see like the heroic I'm gonna get my stuff. It seemingly looked like Brock took him out early and he was just living off the myth. Yeah. And Brock's like, screw your myth. I'm Brock Lesnar. We just and obviously they made him champ. So what's y'all's opinion of a guy who's a part-timer, not there? The reason I ask in part is because the Daniel Bryan thing. Like I saw, I was like everybody else, like put it on that dude.
Yeah.
And then they went and go, here's your new guy. Here it is. You like him so much. Here he is. We're gonna have him beat. Not just he beat all of Evolution in one night. And he taps out the biggest member of the group, and then he gets hurt. And I mean, my heart goes out to that guy because the night after, he goes from that to his honeymoon, like the greatest week of your life is that week, and then it just
drops.
It goes, and when it drops, it's just like the fall is horrific because we don't even know if the guy's ever coming back. Yeah. At this point with the surgeries and whatnot, but part of the authorities' argument is, well, we can't have a guy who's injured, who's not going to be here defending the title, keep the title, so we're going to have to take it off you. And then yet they put it on a guy. Seemingly they were fine with giving it to the guy who we're not even sure if after WrestleMania 31 if he's sticking around. So what are y'all's thoughts on, would you prefer the title being on John Cena or pick someone and being defended all the time? Or do you like the fact that there's a guy that you literally have to wait and see, and more importantly, when he shows up, it's like, crap, here comes the most legit dude on our on their that guy looks like a champion, walks like a champion. He's the toughest dude. No one, I don't see anyone really popping off at him because he'll just rip you apart. But would you prefer it where you do have a guy that's there all the time, defending it on Monday Night Raw from Tennessee, or would you prefer a guy that you have to literally wait till probably the Rumble to see him? And when you see him, it's going to be a spectacle. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
His stuff is just, oh my God, it's brutal. This stuff with Cena and Summer, oh my God, that was brutal. Yeah. But what's y'all's opinion? Which do y'all prefer?
You want to go first?
I'll go first. It's kind of like a mixed feeling because if he was a part-timer and maybe he defended it like just at the pay-per-views, I would love that. But the 3 or 4 month gap
he has the UFC schedule. That's what he has.
Yeah.
He has it like, I don't have to be here until it's a big fight. I gave you 2 back-to-back pay-per-views to face the same dude back-to-back, and I came out, the second one was a little more competitive, but yeah, he's on the UFC schedule. Let's just look at it. It's like, if Anderson Silva was the champ, he would just be here every 3 or 4 months, and, but yeah, okay,
but it is leading up. I get it. On the other hand, being what is it going to be 3 or 4 months since he defended it?
Yeah.
And it makes it to the Royal Rumble. It's going to make that Royal Rumble like huge.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really looking forward to SummerSlam because
yeah.
But if you look at it like you're looking back, oh man, I can't wait till Royal Rumble. It's the Royal Rumble. It builds up for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You're going to finally get to see the champ defend his title for the first time in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And then you never know who's going to be at the show up for the Rumble. You know? So.
Okay. You want to go?
You can go.
Okay. Basically, my opinion on it is like Brock Lesnar. I know he doesn't defend the title at all, but they're giving him. It's basically all the guys are climbing the top just to fight Brock Lesnar. Yeah. He's the whole shebang. I love it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it gives, why he's not there, he's not stealing spotlight from all the other guys. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins are all shining right now.
Yeah.
The Bray Wyatt's coming back now, so that he gets time to shine. And I like it because, even Ryback's coming back and he has full momentum right now. Nobody's taunting him with Goldberg chants anymore. So, they're all the guys are going to get elevated now. I think it's better that he's off right now so they won't take all the spotlight now. Because they could, think about it, Hell in the Cell got main evented by Seth Rollins and, Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
That's rare. I never thought in the whole year that they would do that.
Yeah, especially when they did the number 1 contender stipulation for Orton and Cena. I think there was that concern. Even when it was just announced it was going to be Cena Orton, I think there were people who were going, oh man, they're going to be the main event. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter that it's not for. Both guys lost their respective. Why are they gonna? That was the thing. My only issue with the Cena Orton match was that it was for a number 1 contendership. That it was they go, well, John, you lost this match against Dean, a match that you supposedly wanted because you wanted to face Seth Rollins. We got to face on Raw anyway, so it didn't really matter. But we'll let you get the number 1. You can still be the guy. As far as Brock.
Brock. Brock, I think it's kind of good, but kind of like with him taking the 4 months off, then coming up with the big pay-per-views and stuff. Yeah, it's a big thing, but I kind of like seeing the champion kind of maybe at least every other month instead of every 4 months.
Yeah.
But kind of like Seth Rollins, I'd kind of rather see him with the belt because he's there every single day, kind of doing his thing, but I'm just waiting for him to cash in that briefcase. Too long.
Yeah, I think he's got it till July.
Yeah. Think about it, look how long Dolph had it. Dolph had it for a while.
Talk about a guy who had it, cashed it in, probably a great moment the night after WrestleMania.
Oh my God.
And then a concussion.
Yeah.
And they could go, well, see, we gave you the ball. That was the ball.
Didn't they get the concussion from a ABR?
No, they got it from Jack Swagger, I think.
Oh, Jack Swagger?
Yeah, they actually, I think they have, in the Don't Try This at Home, the kick to the, Dolph goes for a backdrop, and Jack kicks him, he kicks him flush in the face.
Alberto Del Rio.
No, I think I think that was part of the story.
Yeah.
So y'all watch pretty much everything?
I watch everything. I can say I watch everything. I'm not that guy that says, "Oh, I watch everything." Oh yeah, I watch. I don't watch SmackDown though. And that's the only thing.
Well, then you can't say you watch everything.
Well, I can't watch SmackDown.
You miss one of the greatest triple threats in the at least for the last couple of weeks on SmackDown.
It's hard to watch it because I watch NXT though.
Okay.
I watch Raw and NXT, but I don't. Honestly, I can't watch the main event. 'Cause because it really doesn't need any storyline or anything like that. And as far as SmackDown, that's just a dress rehearsal for Raw. You know.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah. So I watch. As far as anything right now, I'm kind of stuck on New Japan. That's my thing.
I have yet to watch New Japan. I have yet to just.
They got JR on commentary.
What isn't that their pay-per-view? Yeah, when's that?
Next
January.
month? January, yeah.
January 4th.
That's going to be with what? Global Force. Too.
Yeah.
Global Force is doing the promotion.
Presented by.
Yeah.
But I can't wait because there's certain matches on there that they haven't done in like, you know, they're doing Nakamura versus Kota Hayabushi, which I'm like, oh my god, like they got one of the sickest junior heavyweights against, you know, their IC belt champion. Nakamura is just like, he's held every belt in like New Japan. And then you got
Tanahashi and Okada.
yeah, Tanahashi and Okada. You had like pretty much the I'm gonna compare it to Randy Orton. You got the John Cena of like New Japan versus the Randy Orton of like New Japan. So pretty much it's that type of, you know. And then you got
those Red Dragons.
The Red Dragons.
Four-way tag match.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had the Time Splitters. You have Alex Shelley.
Okay.
And what's his name? Kushida. And then plus you're gonna have guys from, you know, Ring of Honor, NWA. You know, you're gonna have Chase Owens versus the rematch for the NWA junior
versus Jushin Thunder
Liger. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you got I think the Killer Elite Squad.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, Lance and Davey.
Yeah, because they defend the NWA belts on New Japan a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's what's kind of cool. And then you have the tag team tournament going on right now. Before that event, you got Jack Stain. What's his name? Jack Stain and
Rob Conway.
Rob Conway in the tournament. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got a little bit of everything. You know, New Japan's like pretty much where it's at. That and
you would consider that the best wrestling product out there currently? If you had to,
as far as my top three, I would put Pro Wrestling Guerrilla at number 1.
okay.
New Japan number 2, and as far as number 3, I would have to give it to I'll give it to WWE. Because
Okay.
you know they still have me watching no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'll put them at number 3.
Okay.
So, but Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is pretty much all the best indie guys put under one roof. You know, you got your Adam Coles, you have your Ricochets, you have some of the up and Trevor Lee, Michael Elgin, Brian Cage.
Okay.
You know, all the guys from like Ring of Honor, New Japan, the British, you know, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenny Omega. Those guys are guys to watch this year. You know, I think Kenny Omega was Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and who's the other guy that had like MVP, and AJ Styles all had MVP years. I had like, those are the guys that should get like at least considered for Wrestler of the Year next year or this year. So, you know, especially AJ Styles, what kind of a year he's had. He got let go because TNA didn't want to pay him no money, and now he's like on top of New Japan, and you know he had a 5-star match with Yoshitatsu out of all people. You know, at the last pay-per-view at the Power Struggle, he had a 5-star match with, you know, Yoshitatsu. You know, and Yoshitatsu was treated like garbage in the WWE.
Yeah, that is true about Yoshi's run. Yeah. That's not the greatest use of a pretty solid talent. But if you had to get someone to watch wrestling, and you had one match or one segment to get them to watch, to win them over, like to go, look, this is what wrestling is today. Because if, like, when I was growing up, the match I would always go to would be Warrior Hogan. I would go,
oh yeah,
there you go. Or I would go Kerry Von Erich, Ric Flair, Dave Von Erich Memorial Show, and go, here you go. If you want to see, like, wrestling at its finest, and saying Hogan and Warrior, like, that's the epitome of what wrestling is. Yeah. Or during the Attitude Era, you go Rock, Austin, maybe WrestleMania 17, you go that whole build-up from the video promo on. That's here you go. But today's, like the last 2 years, we'll say 2 years, you had one match that you had to go, here you go, because you can't go Hogan Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it goes, well, God, that was so long ago. That's not what, I mean, for some, that's not what wrestling is today. So.
Yeah. You want to answer this question? As far as like one particular match, I was trying to tell everybody to watch recently to get the best. Well, you think about it. As far as Japanese wrestling, I would recommend Kodo versus Aishi. That match, I was watching it and I was just like, I got up out of my seat. I was basically watching and I got up. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, you know, like I rarely have matches like that. Yeah. But when I have a match like that, I recommend it. It was 30 minutes of what pro wrestling should be. Two guys beating the crap out of each other, but also telling a story. You know, and it was basic. I saw the whole package. These guys trained together, trained together, grew up somewhat together. You know, one took a different path, the other guy took a different path, and now that they're, you know, in their like pinnacle right now in their primes, they meet together for, you know, the never heavyweight. It's an open weight title. Okay. You know, it's just like, wow, these guys were just going at it. It was the best match. As far as that's what I recommend. You know, as far as they call me the Smark on the show. I'm a Smarky fan, and I recommend that match. Okay. You know, remember New Japan, Koto versus Aishi, Power Struggle. Okay, so
I don't know, man. It depends on what the person's into because there's so many great things. I mean, if I'm talking to, like, say, a Spanish person, and I'm going to talk CMLL recently, Ultimo Guerrero and Atlantico, Mask for Mask.
That match had me crying. Yeah. That match literally had me, like, bawling. Like, because, dude, that match was so... I recommend that match. If you're a Lucha Libre fan, watch it. And especially at the end, my wife was like, what's wrong? Are you crying? I was like... No, but yeah, you know. I was like, yes, you know.
And if you want to get them hooked on like kind of that new hybrid style, recently Lucha Underground, Johnny Mundo, Prince Puma.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a killer match. Even the Blue Demon Chavo Guerrero was like more traditional style. I like that one recently. Oh man!
The one match I was trying to recommend was Evolve 34. You had Timothy Thatcher versus Zack Sabre Jr. Two of the best. Like one guy's from trained in Japan, the other guy's a British guy. Okay. You know, so it's like technical mat wrestling at its best. There was no high spots in the match. It was just two guys that were good on the ground. You know, you saw a lot of European uppercuts. You saw a lot of leg locks, a lot of Fujiwara arm bars. You know, it was just a lot of mat stuff. You know, something that would, you know, William Regal would be proud of. You know, so that's a great match. You know, British style is coming back. That style is coming back. I tell a lot of people is that style is probably going to take over in 2015. You know, as far as the indies concerned, you know, your New Jersey, your California indies, because those guys are making a big splash. So, you know.
And you, Jimmy?
Well, like me, I don't really get as much time to watch it as these two right here, but like me, I'd probably take it back to probably one of the older matches from back in the day with WCW, probably like Eddie Guerrero with Dean Malenko. Okay. Real technical, you know, you still got your lucha style, you got your, you know, submissions and stuff like that. Yeah. That's probably one of them take them to kind of show them the way.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Speaking of Lucha Underground, I've only seen a couple. I don't have the El Rey Network, although I've been told I should get it because it's... And I've seen some of the listings and they have some pretty awesome stuff. So I do either watch it online or I'll watch it... I guess Saturdays they have it.
Yeah, I say just Google it because the one on Saturdays in Spanish.
Yeah, no, I watch it. I'm quite all right with it. I mean, I get the gist of what they're saying. Yeah. You know, it's like listening to my relatives talk. Sometimes I don't totally understand, but I get the gist of it. Yeah. But one of the things that they have done to some degree is male versus female.
I love it.
You're a fan of it?
Oh, I love intergender matches because you got the world's cutest tag team, Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae. Yeah. Candice LeRae is so good. It's just like this is what I was trying to tell the guys all the time. I think Candice LeRae and Barbie Hayden are so good of like women wrestling that they should just like find better competition in Texas. They need to fight men. You know what I mean? They're so good that they fight men, and I think more of the high level women wrestlers should fight men. That's just my personal opinion, but I love it. Because there's some girls that are out there that can kick ass. I love that. So I recommend it. I like it. I want to see more of it, but I did not like there was episode 2. Sexy Star took a direct chair shot to the top of the head. I don't like that.
Okay.
It's just like what I did have a little bit of a. I saw the Young Bucks versus the Cutest Tag Team, and they did a spot where they put a shoe and had thumbtacks at the bottom of the shoe, and they super kicked her. And man, she had the crimson mask and everything like that, and they basically 2 guys just beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
But it was just that I didn't like. Doing. I don't like the chair shots, but I love them like taking body slams and stuff like that. But as far as them. No, I can't do that. They can't do the hardcore stuff. Okay. Especially with the guys, because some guys don't pull back.
Yeah.
They'll swing a chair as hard as they can, and I don't want to see a woman get like that. But a body slam or them going toe to toe with them, that's not bad. But as far as like doing the hardcore or thumbtacks or stuff like that, I don't want to see that.
Jimmy.
Oh man, my opinion on that shit. Really? I kind of like it, but it's pretty much the same. The chair shots to the head, they shouldn't be doing hardcore, but I kind of like the technical out of it,
Well, I kind of like Sexy Star and Son of Havoc. I think that was an alright match because the guy didn't punch her. I'm a big... I don't know, because I'm different about it, because I was raised pretty old school, like men versus women, not necessarily the best way to go about stuff. I've seen promotions try it. I've seen promotions where, like ACW, where they do, a lot of their matches are intergender. I know when I booked Uncut, Jessica James was one of my top talents, but I had Nobi and Brandon be her plan B, so if she ever got in trouble, we'd distract the ref, and here come these 2 guys to take out whoever her male opponent was so she'd get the easy win. Because I was like, well, no, we gotta be smart about it. And she was also my answer to PCW's Claudia, because she was taking on guys, and having a lot of success, so I was like, well, we need another, out of necessity, Claudia had to face guys. It wasn't like, and she faced cruiserweights, and a lot of them about her size, so it really wasn't like she was facing guys my size, because we would try to cripple her. No, I'm just kidding. But, and then I've seen some stuff at ACW, and I don't know, I'm weird about it. I'm weird about it because I think wrestlers have a tendency to lose what the story of the match is if they try to treat it like, it's wrestler A versus wrestler B, as opposed to, here's a female wrestler versus a male wrestler. You need to understand where you're at. At the flip side, hey, I like seeing Scarlett Johansson in a movie beat up a bunch of guys, but I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I did like the Sexy Star, Son of Havoc match, mainly because there wasn't a punch thrown, and she sold right. It wasn't like she was, even though they were kind of toe-to-toe, it wasn't like she was dominating him or anything like that. Yeah. So...
Don't CZW do that a lot? Kind of do the...
I think, PWG does it because they have Candace, right?
Yeah.
She's always in the mix with guys.
She is the only woman that wrestles for...
Because I know Chica Tormenta, she'll do an intergender match.
Yeah, look what Sammy Caveira did to her.
Yeah, landed on her head,
on her nose. And stuff,
he did what was that, 630 senton?
Yeah, whatever it's called, 630.
630 senton, and landed right on top of her head.
Oh wow!
I was like, whoa, but
You know, that was kind of on him too.
Yeah. Because he's the best ever.
Yeah, I haven't heard any good stuff about that kid. I think I've seen him wrestle one time. And he did a lot of stuff that was just kind of, you're young. You're just doing stuff just to do it. You're not doing it for any reason. You're not doing it to win. You're doing it just to do it.
He's one of them that walk backstage, you know, has no respect or anything, you know. If you got a guy like Jason Sullivan, maybe even Dark Star, and he walks back there, oh, what's up, fuckers?
Yeah.
Jason would have probably threw his shit out the door and told him, you ain't working here.
Well, I mean, I've also been that guy. I've been Sammy. I've walked into promotions and kind of like scoured the locker room and going, okay, none of these guys are going to go any further than here. I'm wasting my time. And of course I had devil's advocates in my ear, like I had my friend London, who we were both. I mean, when we both broke in, we were like, man, we're not going to be on the Indies long. That was both our mentalities. We really assumed we were going to go places. So if somebody gave us advice, we weren't dicks about it, but we would laugh it off. I mean, we'd get in the car, then we'd laugh it off, you know, like, and we'd hear the same, like, slow it down, gotta learn how to tell a story, and we're like, shut up, old time. No, we wouldn't say that. We'd be like, you know, I'd always try to be respectful because I believe that that's always paved the way, and you really just have to show your respect in that respect. But on the flip side, I know young guys who get in, they don't want to slow it down.
I guess it's how I was kind of taught during training. You kind of, if you're like the new guy back there, yeah, you ask questions, but you also shut up and listen, you know?
Yeah.
Not, oh man, go in there, what's up, fuckers, you know, and
Yeah, I know that he kind of ruffled some feathers with some stuff that he said after
about that guy,
Aquaman.
Yeah.
That's not cool though, man. Like I saw it on All Unfold on Facebook 'cause I was following it, and what he said was like, it was pretty shitty. You know, he goes, I can see why he passed away because he didn't want to deal with any RCW fucks or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was like very insensitive. And I talked to a few people that were really close to Aquaman. They were like, dude, this guy got blacklisted bad because you know, nobody wanted to touch him. Like, what was it? Inspired didn't touch him.
He posted another video after that.
Oh,
he basically crapped on all the promotions.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh, was it the one like he was working out or doing pull-ups?
No, not though.
I know there was one where he was doing some stuff and then he did like a backflip off the wall and he said something about being great but not being booked because he's so great, or I don't
that's probably one of the videos.
okay, I don't really keep up with him.
Yeah.
I think I seen the video because I think Lowrider had showed it to me.
Yeah.
And it was him. He basically just crapped on all the major promotions for not booking him. He called them all out, you know, like Inspire, RCW, TCW. I mean, there was a whole list of them. He was just like, y'all ain't nothing, this and that. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Good way. And then I think he didn't get booked until a promotion in like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from his talent. He's a young kid. He just does stuff that, again, like a lot of guys who start out, you have this perception of how it should go. I learned real quick, again, being a running buddy with London, that I couldn't do what London did. I never tried to do moonsaults. I can't. I get real bad vertigo from getting dropped on my head. Prior, being stupid, like the don't try this at home, I was one of those kids. I did it at home, and it, yeah.
Catches up.
Catches up. And then I also looked at what the landscape of wrestling was at the time and realized, like, the guys making the most money were the guys that weren't doing as much. Like Austin and Rock weren't going from the top rope. They weren't doing stuff that, on the flip side, Rey Mysterio and them, who I was fans of, but I'm like, well, you guys aren't top of the card because it's more about promos. It's more about your personality. It's more about your character as opposed to what you do.
Kind of like your John Cena's.
Yeah. Well, you see, and that's the thing. I look at John and I have immense respect for him because he does more
Yeah.
than Hogan ever did in the ring.
Yeah.
Or even, Rock when he first broke in. He did some stuff off the top, but John goes out there and does all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying he's the most graceful dude out there, but he is like, for a guy that has to be the company, like they're just certain guys. You couldn't, as much of a fan of Punk as I was, I can't have that guy go on mainstream media and be the face. I can't. He doesn't look the part. He doesn't carry himself to be the guy. He wants to be the angry artist, which is great. I'm cool with that. I respect that. We have certain personality traits that are similar. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I can kind of be the main guy for a while, but after a while I just get tired of it and I don't want to be that, and who wants to be the spokesperson? Yeah. And John is a great spokesperson. If you need a controversy like Fire doused, he's the guy. Just put it in front and center. He looks great in a suit. He always presents well. He speaks well. He's articulate. I remember he was doing Steve Austin's podcast, and he talked about learning Mandarin because he knew that they're going to open a market there, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to learn that on the side." And it's like, what other dude really is going to be that guy? Like Dan O'Brien, no offense, like can't put that guy front and center and go, "Here's our company." Again, like outside of us, outside of the fans, outside of you get to a certain point and the mainstream's not going to accept it, regardless of how, they want to see a clean-cut, all-American looking like a Rock. Here you go. That guy, you can put Randy to some degree, but he's got attitude problems, to some degree. Like
he's not that great of a promo.
I love his promos because he's not doing what everyone else tries to do. I wish to God, I love his frantic, right before he leaves to take a break, to go shoot the movie. He's doing some of his best stuff because he's just off hinge. I love the WrestleMania 25 build-up because he was just what we all think he is. He's a prick. We want him to be a prick. Yeah. Just be a prick, Randy. You don't have to be nice to anyone. You'll get cheered because everyone loves a prick. Just go be a prick. But his other stuff, when he's...
He's not a babyface. He's not a great...
I really just wish he would be what he is. I just want him to be a prick. I want him to be like, dude, I am that good. They can't fire me because I'm a third generation guy. They're not going to get rid of me. I can crap in this bag right now on TV and I'll get a slap on the wrist. I might go take a break.
Right. Yeah. A paid break.
But he's a good. You put him in a suit. And you go, here you go. He's a 6'4". He looks. Brock's not a company guy. I wouldn't put him on. I wouldn't have him on Good Morning America because he would. But I love that about him too. I'm like, no, he doesn't have to. Just put Paul Heyman and let Paul Heyman do it.
When he first came out, I would always think that Alex Riley was going to be the next face because he fit that mold, kind of. American, clean cut. And it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I try to tell talent now, try to find what they don't have. Mm-hmm. The jock, all-American babyface, that's John Cena. If you look like him, don't try to be him. Don't, unless you're Darren Young. You should try to be him. You should be the negative of his positive and just show up at random places looking exactly, wear the suit, be like, John, I'm what you're not. Can you put a suit on or something? Yeah. I would have, I think that was a missed opportunity when Darren Young showed up. They should have done, okay, let's cut your hair a little short. Let's put you in, you're the doppelganger of John. You're his.
Best thing about it, doesn't John
You're his Bizarro.
Yeah, and it's just the complete opposite. He's a coward and he doesn't hustle for anything and he doesn't, and then he gets really mad at the simplest of losses, whereas John could lose the most important match of his life, and the next night he's like, "Hey guys, it's Monday. I'm here again. I just got my arm broke, but the company called me, and here I am.
I'm here."
What's y'all's opinion on NXT as far as like the future of that? That's in essence the future of the of the company, of the business.
I got a whole opinion on that.
That's on between them two, right?
You don't watch it NXT? I honestly, that's the only wrestling product my girlfriend can sit through.
I hardly ever watch wrestling.
Because you know
anymore.
what? You know why people can sit through that 1 hour? Because they go back to the basics. They go back to that format of wrestling challenge, wrestling superstars.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what I watch it, because it's not 3 hours, it's not 2 hours, it's 1 hour. You have guys actually, like, you have enhancement talent there.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, like that Bull Dempsey, I love him. I love Bull Dempsey. Because he comes out, he whoops on Mojo Rawlings, and then he beats him in like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
I love those type of matches.
Or like
because the next guy he comes, oh man, Bull Dempsey's gonna beat his ass, you know.
Or the Baron Corbin guy that I watched that special, and it was like he got the jobber entrance. He was just standing there. CJ Parker comes out. I was like, who's this Baron Corbin guy?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, finisher. 1, 2, 3. I was like, oh my God, the guy got the jobber stuff. And,
but I like that because they don't do that on. They rarely do that on Raw.
well, they can't really. I see what you mean. Like, they can't, for having 3 hours, they don't do a lot of stuff. They have so much time. Like, they could do whatever they want with those 3 hours. But yeah, they don't have a lot of that enhancement.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a
They
match.
build up a
Because
beast.
your enhancement guys are now, like your Kofi's, Dolph to a degree. You got your Cesaro to a degree. Like, guys who...
Oh my God.
Well, no, and the reason I think, like, they believe they can get away with having talent, certain talent, like keeping them cold, is you take a Ryback. For the last almost 2 years, that guy has been kind of a joke. After he lost to Mark Henry at WrestleMania, it's like, well, now he's a Heyman guy for a little bit. Now he's with Curtis Axel. Now he's losing matches. Now we take him off TV for a couple of months. Now we bring him back like those 2 years never happened.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Feed me more.
And we all go, and what you said right on. He's on a hot streak. People like, that's how Vince looks at it. Like, you're not going to remember. We have new people watching, if we do, or people who have been like, why are they holding him back? I'm not saying that people are saying they hold back Ryback, but look at it. Now we can do that. So with like Cesaro and a few others, they can go, well, as time progresses, Xavier Woods, you're non-existent. We'll just put you in this
New Day gimmick.
New Day stuff with Kofi and eventually Big E, and we'll have that group that they...
Whatever happened to Big E?
He's,
the New Day is a new day for those guys.
I imagine in a couple of weeks he'll join those vignettes of the New Day stuff, and then I'm thinking that's what's going to happen, because they did that with Kofi. But.
To me, with Dolph, he's like their go-to guy when they need a 5-star match on Raw. They're like, okay, call Dolph and put him in with Seth Rollins or Ambrose. We need a 5-star match. We need a 5-star match on there, and he goes and wows you the whole match, and then he picks up his loss and he's back to the back.
Yeah. His triple threat this on SmackDown, because I haven't watched Impact. I might at some point watch Impact.
Hey, you better watch it. It's the next week. It's the last episode.
Well, now I'll have to keep those and watch them at a later date, because who knows when they'll be back on TV. So it was Cesaro, Ziggler, and Tyson Kidd. And Tyson's another one like, we don't really have a whole lot for you. We'll put you on NXT. He starts to get over with his persona. I mean, he's been doing Total Divas, all that.
Yeah.
But I really saw, a guy that I know in the back, everyone's like, this is a quality worker, like he makes everyone look great. Yeah. And they just, okay, well, we don't have anything for you, but when we do something with it, But back to NXT, you guys excited about the potential future of the next 5 years, give or take? That's what I'm looking at.
I would say in the next year or two, because I was talking. I caught another podcast, and that was the whole subject was the NXT guys, and I was like, I'm not too hung on like Kenta or Hiro Tommy because his build-up was just like the worst. They made him
Wait. See, that for a guy who's booked shows in the past and goes, okay, well, what am I going to do with this guy? What am I honestly going to do with this guy? How am I going to get him the most over? I'm going to have William Regal come out and introduce him. That's how I do it. Okay. I don't do that with anyone. I haven't done that with anyone else. Yeah. No one else has gotten that treatment. What's he do immediately? He takes out the baddest tag team on their roster, hands down. Yeah. The guys who had this historical run, and he flattens them. They're the two toughest guys on that roster. Right at the moment. I don't know if Bull Dempsey's probably but those two guys. That for me, like as being a wrestler or being a booker, and then I hear from fans, I go, guys, I remember the buildup of Austin, how long it took for him to get from Stone Cold, where we're all on the train, we want this guy, and it took this amount of time.
Yeah, but my opinion on that, I'll tell you right now, I'll defend what I just said. How I'm going to defend it is he's getting the Yoshitatu type treatment because right now it was a back and forth. He was trying to beat two guys up. Yeah. But I really think that they should have just came out, him beat the crap out of a whole bunch of guys, made him look so strong, and then maybe, throw in the Devitt guy, Finn Balor. But right now, I'd rather him get some Muda type treatment instead of like the Yoshitatu treatment because right now I watch it every week. And I'm not too big on it now that he has a tag team partner to defend against that tough tag team now. I see it now, But I rather had seen him more as a singles competitor and build him up like that because that's what I thought. But now it was just pretty much a build-up for him to be a tag team with Finn Balor, I didn't like that. I thought he was going to come in as just him coming in there and hopefully right about this next NXT TakeOver Part 3 or whatever, him being in the title picture or maybe,
See, that's where, because again, like, you say that and I go, oh, well, that would be awesome. For Kenta, I look at Kenta, I was a fan of Kenta's before CM Punk took all his offense and brought it to the United States.
He was having 5-star matches with, like, Bryan Danielson. He was having with, Tyler Black and, or Seth Rollins. And you saw a different Kenta. Now, you're like, I don't even see it. I feel like those guys are not, I wouldn't say they're holding back, but it's just, I don't see that much wrestling from them. All I see is like, I've seen them kick and I've seen them super stomp a lot.
Yeah.
But like, I don't, like Kenta, I've never really seen him do like regular basic wrestling moves,
Yeah. Because he's only really had, I think his match with Gabriel was the only. And then he had the match with Victor.
Because Gabriel was like getting him for a moment. He's like, he was lost for a moment. And I kind of sensed that because he didn't know what to do. Basically, Gabriel could like pretty much like carry the whole match. And that's the way I just see it. And he's just like, I don't think he's transitioning very well. I think Finn Balor might because he actually wrestles, actual Americans. They have that style. But over here, Kenta's kind of like, it's not Ring of Honor. It's the WWE. It's people want to tell a story and they're not telling it. Hopefully the Ascension when they're tagging up, hopefully at TakeOver they'll do something.
Well, at some point they need to go ahead and move the Ascension up to the main roster.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, I think it's real hard. It's easier to say it on our end. We all look at guys like we're big fans of, we want to see. Like, oh, I'd like to see the Ascension. But then at the flip side, it's like, where do you put them? How do you debut them?
Yeah.
How do you have the next 6 months mapped out? Because in this day and age, it's seemingly from segment to segment, there is that, you guys do it. You analyze the shows. You're critical of the shows to a degree. And the fan base in general, and really it's always probably been like that, when I was first watching it, I didn't care what anyone else thought. It's what I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at dirt sheets as much because I didn't want to know the inside. I just wanted to be a fan of the product. But in this day and age, it is seemingly everyone's got a voice. So in some respect, everyone's a critic, and you hear everybody's critique, which I don't know. I don't know. Like, spoilers are one thing, but for guys to crap on shows before I have a chance to see them, and then I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to watch it, and then that tunes me out. Yeah. If I see spoilers, I'm like, well, I might still catch it. Do you find that having to analyze it so much, does that change how you view it from when you first were just watching it for the sake of watching it to now, where you have to report on it?
I watch it just the way I watch it. I've always done that. But if there's something that's really terrible, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, you know how people say, oh, if you don't like it, don't watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. TNA's so terrible, don't watch it. Yeah. I always hear it like, I've watched a couple of episodes. I watched the Bound for Glory in Japan, and I was like, God.
Oh, did you watch that? How was that?
Oh my God, it was half TNA going over and then half Japan guys over. And the thing is, they cut out a lot of stuff out of the American version. Oh yeah. And basically, the Dudleys cut a promo saying, fuck the Bullet Club. They tear a T-shirt. They cut that completely out. Mm-hmm. They basically said they're going to New Japan. And they were hyping up Global Force. They cut all that out.
Oh yeah, they definitely can't have that on their product.
Yeah, and then they shortened down their farewell speech, because that was their last match. And then as far as the Muda's talent, it's okay. Okay. I was like, I've seen better matches, but EC3 he wrestled a 400-pound sumo guy. That doesn't make sense. And then you had the beginning match was an X Division style match, but it wasn't that. It was just a lot of. It just didn't turn me on. It just turned me off of it because a lot of too many stuff off the top rope. Okay. Not enough storytelling. The guys weren't clicking. You could tell. Because I wasn't liking it. When people have a chemistry and they're just like, oh, and I'm getting into it. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that. That's how I get into it. But if they don't, you can tell they're just there to wrestle and that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm just turned off by it. Just like with the main event. The main event was just mooted doing dragon screw leg whips and some shining wizards and basically him throwing mist. But the other guys were just they're just to put him over. You know what I mean? Just I don't know. Muda's great, but he should have never been in the main event. They should have highlighted some really his tough guys, but they didn't do that. Oh, okay. That's the way I see it. It was just Muda, you had your time to shine, but he only did 3 moves. He did his dragon screw leg whip, his moonsault, and the mist. Mm-hmm. And the shining was fourth move.
Whatever, what people pay to see. What people pay to see.
And then he's just he got up, did his speech, and that's pretty much it. That's how the show ended. It was not a TNA pay-per-view, it was a Muda. The Muda show.
Well, yeah, because I think it was Muda's company that was setting it up, and it was kind of their deal, and TNA was just kind of taking back on.
Yeah, but the thing is that's TNA's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it was the movie.
Well, yeah. I watched some of the impacts leading up to it, and outside of the commercials, there just seemingly wasn't any build that. That definitely can't be your WrestleMania if you're not even building to it. There's no storylines that are leading to it. Most of your talent's not at the show or on the show.
Have a record that they can't even go overseas. Yeah. They didn't have no Jeff Hardy. The only good.
They didn't have Bobby Lashley, right?
They didn't have Bobby Lashley. They had the best match of the night was Samoa Joe versus Low-Ki versus Kaz Hayashi, and then I think Samoa Joe was hurt. He was really hurt. I think he had a separated shoulder, but he still wrestled. Mm-hmm. But he was limited to what he did, so it was basically Low-Ki Kaz Hayashi, you know, they would throw him outside of the ring, and he would lay there for a few minutes. I could tell, and you know, because he would just come out whenever they needed him to come in. But it was basically they're all over the ring. They were all outside kicking. You know, Low-Ki was doing his thing. Kaz Hayashi, you know, he's the man, and it was a good match. But it was just basically those two guys, and then Samoa Joe, and then Samoa Joe comes out because everybody loves Samoa Joe. He used to wrestle Noah, that same place. You know, comes out. He actually knows how to speak Japanese, so he had a whole speech in Japanese ready, and people just loved him. Everybody was like, Joe, Joe, Joe. And it was a good it was like a decent pay-per-view, but he was basically, that was the main event. That should have been the main event.
Oh, okay.
You know.
At least because it would have been a TNA title that was on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
The network, are y'all subscribers?
Yeah.
The network, are y'all? No.
I am. You know,
what do you think of it as far as from a
fan? Okay, I love the thing is they need to have more old school stuff.
Okay.
They need to have more world class, more AWA, more Memphis. They need to have that stuff because you can't just feed me the Attitude Era and ECW and Nitros from like 96 to 97. Give me all the Nitros, you know. Give me all the and I like the pay-per-views, but you kind of want to watch what leads up to that pay-per-view that year, you know what I mean? But they don't offer very much, you know. Like I'm done with your countdown shows. They're thinking of, they lost, you know, ideas on how to count down, putting moments, and you know they can always go back to the Attitude Era. This week's ECW, like I'm done. I was there in the ECW arena. I'm like, I know how many reunions are you gonna have, and you know, I know ECW was cool, but I'm done with it. You know, I'm done with ECW. I was there. You know, I've been to ECW events, so I've seen it all. But I'm done reliving that moment. You know. I'm
one of the people that Vince hates. I bootleg it from someone else.
Yeah. So you're still somebody else's. They don't have a limit on that.
Yeah. I mean, we have it on. Oh man, I think we have it on every possible way you can watch it. Yeah. And we multiple things, and I think like our smart TV eventually will get the app, so I'll put it on. On that. I like it. I'm not as I don't watch as much wrestling probably by design. I don't watch as much because I just don't want to get tired of it.
Oh man.
Because there's a lot out there. Like I mainly use the network to watch NXT. I'm a fan of it. Real big fan of like Charlotte. I think she's phenomenal.
Oh yes, I love her.
Just like how she approaches matches. So
the Nature Girl.
And I watch some the Monday Night War stuff, even though it's revisionist history.
They changed it.
But that's the thing. If you win the war, you can rewrite it however you want. You can say that Bret Hart, screwed Bret Hart, and we don't realize, he had like 3 more months on his contract, and it wouldn't have really mattered. He could have dropped it whenever. So what do y'all got on the horizon as far as the show goes? Y'all have any like upcoming guests that y'all?
Actually, not really. You know what? As far as a guest, I've told this story, but y'all, you know who Raymond Rowe is, right? Yeah. Well, anyways, I booked him to do a show. I know I'm getting away from the topic, but I booked him for a show, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Raymond Rowe and ask him about Ring of Honor and this and that. And I was like, I booked him, and it was that same week he got hurt. Yeah. And I texted him that day he got hurt. He goes, it's not a great time, but it was just. We're like, I felt so bad. He was he had the best breakout year this year, 2014, maybe the beginning of the end of 2013, and maybe midway 2014. Dude. Oh, he had the best year.
We didn't find out until the next day that he had got it.
Hey, I'm sure as it's happening, you guys are like,
I was texting him, I was like, well, I kind of found out why we didn't have it.
But as far as guests in the future, I don't know, man. We go week to week.
I know I kind of talked to Masada a lot. I'm going to try to get him on the show.
Oh, okay.
He pretty much messaged me in my inbox quite a bit.
Okay.
But Other than that, I don't really know who.
I want to get, there's one person I do want to get. I want to get Teddy Hart. Because I saw him at the Inspire Pro, and he's a very weird, I wouldn't say, he was a very interesting character. Yeah. Because I sat there and I talked to him for a little bit outside of the show, and man, that guy smokes a lot of weed. And he carries his cat around. He was like smoking with his cat,
Persian.
His little Persian cat. But no, I want to get him on because I think he's a very interesting character. And now I've noticed that he's getting booked a lot in Texas. So, hopefully I can get opportunity to, get him on the show.
But I know one guy that I'd like to get on the show is Ryan Davison.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Ryan Davidson. He's a very interesting character.
Yeah, I know he's tried to do a couple podcasts, like he's still kind of in the testing phase.
Yeah.
But I'm sure once he gets them going, he's going to have to do the circuit. So at that point, hey man, you're going to have your podcast at some point. I considered doing podcasts when I was thinking, not necessarily making a transition, but going from just vlogging to doing the conversation pieces. But I found I like to film it because I do have a YouTube audience, and I know that if I did a podcast, it would basically be the same thing, and I'd probably be releasing it to on both formats anyway. But I prefer the filming aspect. At the same time, I think for me, I prefer to have it a face-to-face stuff. I don't want to do Skype. I don't want to call them on the phone and have a phone conversation. That's another reason why I want to mainly keep it YouTube, because it forces me to, but at the same time it is hard because it's not like I'm going to random shows to try to get interviews. Even when I'm at reality wrestling, it's not like I really have a whole lot of time to do that or space to really do it, because I have to set up a camera and whatnot. It's not like just setting up a mic, laptop. I'm sure I've seen like the Houston Wrestling Radio guys, how they've done it, because I've been at one of when I did my interview for them, I was actually at theirs. And when I spoke to Brad about his podcast, I realized he did it at a studio, and he's got all that equipment. But cool, man. Anything else you want to plug as far as?
We have T-shirts. He's wearing them. He's wearing one. I'm wearing one, and
soon to be Steve DeMarco will be wearing.
Yeah, man. I'll have to support that thing.
Yeah, and then pretty much we're just gonna start, putting ourselves out there more often. Passing out cards, going to more wrestling shows. We're gonna do another T-shirt coming up pretty soon, and then we're just trying to we're trying to start I'm going, because I've been in the metal scene for a while. I'm trying to treat this like a metal band. Okay. We're going to have merch. We want to put ourselves out there, be on the Facebook a lot and go to shows and, treat the fans better, give back to the fans more than anything else, That's how we are. Our motto is that we put the fans first, we put Texas wrestling first. And that's our thing, that's what we do, man. We love it, man. We love the Texas Indies. I know New Jersey and everybody in the East and West Coast have their, to us, we have the best.
Okay.
We have the best. We got the creme de la creme as far as good talent, And I like Texas wrestling. This is the best, That's the way I like to see it. I'm ranting off because I love Texas wrestling.
Well, I appreciate you guys being on the show, and I hope for consistent success for you guys.
Yeah. All right. We're not gonna stop.